Hey everybody, so this is part 2 of my Bishop trip that I just got back from last week. Part 1 was the video where I went up to Bishop Creek and got acclimated. This video is the actual backpacking trip. So, just a quick disclaimer, I'm not going to name the actual lakes that I went to just to kind of keep it wild, but it's not hard to figure out where I went, and really if you look at the clues you could probably follow the exact route and guess which lakes each fish came from. But anyways, me and Gravity, we don't get along, so decided to take a packed train up to over the pass. They also carried our backpacks, which allowed us to carry a little bit better food than we normally would. After getting the tent set up, we decided to head back a little bit and fish one of the lakes. This lake I'd fished before, and if you see my other videos, actually I'm not sure if I have any clips from this one, but I fished it a couple times before, and you can see that it rained a little bit, so I had to put on the rain jacket, but right when we started fishing it kind of stopped. I started with a dry dropper and wasn't filming when the fish bit because it actually took a while for me to get my first bite, but this one came on the dropper and it was on a fly that I had tied myself. It's actually a nymph game changer. Tied one and decided, again, fly tying isn't for me, so my buddy DT2 took the materials and tied the rest. Thanks, DT2. Probably should have made another disclaimer. Hopefully I don't lose any subs because of this, but decided to go the dark side and bring a spinning rod with me. The rod itself is kind of cool. I bought it from Japan and it's a telescopic collapsible rod that extends out to 5'6". The reason I brought this rod was I wanted to try something different, and honestly some of these lakes are pretty deep, and when the wind picks up it's just easier to chuck a Castmaster out there, so decide to cheat a little bit, I guess. Anyways, they actually did follow the Castmaster a lot more than when I was using the fly, which probably isn't that surprising, but they were really aggressive at following it, but committing is another story. This one took a little while as well, but eventually I got one to take it on a slow retrieve, and this one was pretty chunky, but it was missing its tail, so it actually didn't fight quite as hard as I thought it would. Here's DT2 getting onto one. I think he was using a Stillwater nymph or something that looked like a unweighted leech. And as you could tell from that jump that it was a pretty chunky one as well. I think I censored out the part where he almost fell in the lake, but luckily he didn't. Towards dinner time, we headed back. I was actually really beat, so I forgot to take some footage. One thing about horseback riding is you don't get tired from like a cardio standpoint, but your knees are pretty much shot by the time you reach the top. Anyways, next morning, couldn't sleep. Found this really big fat marmot eating the horse poop that was dropped yesterday. Then he took a really epic dump on top of this rock, which I had to capture. Anyways, today's schedule was a loop around the basin, which I'd done before, and it's a pretty awesome loop. You get a wide selection of scenery and lakes and even some fish variety. So here's the first lake that we stopped at, and it's filled with, I would say, small to medium goldens. You can see them rising right here, and they weren't exactly scared of us, but they still were slightly picky on the fly. Just to mix it up, decided to use tenkara to start out. And this was the right lake to do it on. Crystal clear water, they were surface rising. I'd actually already caught one before, but I wasn't filming. this was to be my second fish until the line fell off. So that was that. I used a barbless hook, so I'm pretty sure the fish spit the fly pretty soon after, but the line, sorry, kind of polluted there. The next weapon was to basically use, it was basically indicator fishing, but not because I needed it to see the fish take it. As you can see, they were swarming the indicator and the fly, but it was more to present the fly in a way that they would take it, because they were kind of swimming around the fly when I didn't have the indicator. That's because I was kind of dragging it in. The indicator allowed me to let it float, and it worked a lot better. I actually caught quite a few fish after I switched to the indicator.
I'll start angling up right here.
Okay. This lake is a huge backcountry lake, probably one of the bigger ones out there, and it's been reputed to have large Godins in it. This is my second time fishing it, so started out with a dry dropper again, just because I saw some splashes, or what I thought were risers. No action here, and eventually I went back to the spinning rod. Well, before I did, here's a DT2, I think, with a marmot stalker. Marmots here, they must get fed by people, because they really got pretty close to you without being scared. So it's been about 5 years since I used a spinning rod before this trip, and as you can tell, I'm not really casting that well. Part of it I found out later on was my floral to braid knot was kind of folded over, so it kept on catching on the guides. But this one was an accidental cast to the right where I actually caught a fish right behind that rock. Nothing huge, but again, at least I caught something out of this lake. The other guys, DT1 and DT2, they also went around the lake and caught some fish, but none of them were all that big, so I would have to say this lake was kind of a disappointment. It was supposed to be one of the heavy hitters. Eventually worked my way around the lake and went back to the fly rod, but didn't get any more action after that first one. So this lake is also known to have Godins, but not nearly as big as the ones told about the previous lake, but still a fun lake for my last time here. You can see that there's a color change a few feet out from the shore, and it's usually indicative of a drop off, which usually has fish. So started out by hitting that with some sort of streamer, forgot which kind. Got one hit, but nothing connected, so decided to go to more favorable wind directions, and for some reason I actually didn't film myself catching fish. Like, I actually caught quite a bit going around the lake, but didn't actually get any on film, which is really weird. That little stone block there, I just wanted to show DT2 that I did fish it, but didn't get anything. He got something there, and there should have been something down there anyways. I'm showing this beach too because I actually caught quite a few fish from that color transition. Here's one of them, but again, didn't get any on film. Weird. So this lake is actually known to have above average brookies, and fished probably the southern end a little bit. Didn't get anything on the fly, so again, used the cheat rod again. Caught this brookie on a kind of like a small mep spinner. This one might have been, I think, yeah, it was a golden color one, and that one seemed to work really well. just because this is a fly channel, I had to go back to my fly rod to at least get one on the fly here. So went to a streamer. It was kind of a leech looking thing. Sorry, I'm terrible with fly names. And I actually thought I got snagged here. You can see by my pulling that I was kind of pulling, pausing, thinking it was a snag, but it's just a really heavy weight that I was pulling onto, but it wasn't really pulling back. It ended up actually being a fish, and this one might be my personal best brookie. This time decided to take a cross-country route back to beat a thunderstorm, and should have taken more video, but I think, to be honest, I was actually usually dead tired by the end of the day. Got to see a pretty good sunset from my tent though. Next morning, decided to skip the hike up, but this is the same large lake as yesterday, but this time we were going to go over the back of it, over a pass, which that arrow kind of shows you which direction we're going in. You had to go around the third lake from yesterday and then go up this canyon chute up higher. So there's DT1 looking in the direction we went. That arrow is actually where we needed to go, so we kind of went the wrong direction and then backtracked. This is near the top of the pass, a little basin up there, and here's the pass itself. The best way I could describe it is, if you ever see Game of Thrones, it's kind of like the wall. It's a couple 100 feet up, and there's pretty big boulders and loose rock. I actually did not want to go over. I was feeling pretty weak at that point and wanted to turn back, but you know what? Decided you only live once and went over, which was dumb because you got to go back up. So I took a 40-minute nap down at the bottom while DT2 fished this lake, and this is one of those famous lakes that supposedly had 20-inch Godins, and we didn't get anything. Didn't see anything. Fished really fishy looking water. I tried spinning, he tried fly, didn't get a single bite. So I talked to some other people and they said it's pretty much dead for them too, so it might be one of those lakes that contains like one or two big ones and not much of anything else. So after about an hour of fishing, well, at least for me, DT2 might have fished 2 hours, and DT1 was the only one who caught fish at some of the other lakes. We went back up the wall and took a slightly easier route, but I have no idea how I made it back to the top. Like, I was dead tired. That night I actually had to contemplate, do I really want to spend the next 2 days jumping over car-sized boulders? And I decided that to err on the side of caution. Like, I never felt right this trip, so I made the decision to head back down 2 days early. DT1 and 2 stayed up there and actually did have pretty good success at the other lake, so congrats to them. Here's the view from the top of the pass, and honestly, once I started going downhill, I felt significantly stronger, so I'm thinking it must have been I just never adjusted to the altitude and was feeling the side effects. Anyways, you can see a random fire on the side of 5 highway on the way back. I think a homeless guy started it. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next trip, which should be pretty soon.